Imagine being told that your esophagus is closing and that you're going to have to take pills for the rest of your life. Well, that's what I was told. But I'm going to share a story with you of how I changed my diet and was able to prove the doctor wrong. So sit tight and we'll get started. All right, so the story is all about acid reflux and its effect on my life. I started getting acid reflux when I was in my early 20s. It wasn't all that serious. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night, with acid reflux in my mouth, but it was pretty often. I would burp and things would come up, and it was just like all the time. Over time, it got worse and worse. And eventually, I noticed a symptom that I didn't relate to acid reflux, but later found out that it was because of it. But I would eat food, and eventually the food would just kind of get stuck right in my esophagus area. It never made it down to the stomach, and it would start to create some pressure. I don't know why. It just kind of created friction there, and I could feel the food just kind of sliding down, really taking its time. So all I did to fix that was just chug some water, and that water would help push things through. Over the years, this symptom became more and more prominent. As the food got stuck, it would actually start to hurt, and I would chug the water, and it would all start pushing down, but it would hurt the whole way down. It's almost like it was taking that stomach where the esophagus and the stomach came together. You could kind of feel like this part was closed, and me drinking that water, the esophagus was pushing everything down and forcing my stomach open and pushing the food in. It was a weird sensation, but I don't know. I didn't go to the doctor about it. I just felt like, probably everybody deals with that. I must not be chewing good enough or what. I don't know. I just didn't think anything of it. Other acid reflux symptoms had gotten worse as well. I would be laying in bed and I would wake up in the middle of the night with acid in my mouth. Half asleep, I would just swallow it back down and it would just go down and burn the rest of my esophagus all the way. I lived with it thinking it was normal, just prop my pillow up, take some Tums, everything will be all right. Well, eventually, this next symptom is what really got me to want to see a doctor. I was eating food, and I got that sensation where the food felt like it was getting stuck, and I chugged the water, but it still wasn't going down. It was stuck. It was sitting there, and it wasn't going anywhere. I was salivating, just saliva just kept coming, and it wouldn't go down. And every time I tried to swallow the saliva that was building up in my mouth, it just made things worse. It hurt. I knew it wasn't going to go into my stomach and that it was about to come up. So I ran to the bathroom, and I can't say I threw it up because it never made it to my stomach. I didn't throw up. The only way I could describe it is regurgitated it. All the food and all the drink that I had just tried to swallow came right back up and went into the toilet. I immediately set up an appointment with my primary caregiver. While waiting for that appointment, I experienced this a couple more times, and I got to the point where I was afraid to eat. When I got to the appointment with my doctor, the doctor said, we're going to probably need to put you on some antacids. And I said, is this just for the time being to make the acid stop going away and everything will be fixed? And they said, no, you'll probably be on these pills for the rest of your life. That's not it. I'm not going to do that. YouTube became my best friend. I was looking for all sorts of different remedies for acid reflux, found different diets, people were saying different things. And one thing that people really said was avoid grease and fatty foods. Try not to eat so late to bed, don't drink any water, things like that. It's the normal thing that people say to prevent acid reflux. I tried it. It didn't really work a lot. Despite the conventional wisdom not working, I decided I would try a few different diets. Eventually, I found something that I thought was working. I still struggled with keeping food down, but I wasn't dealing with the acid reflux waking me up in the middle of the night. I felt like my primary doctor didn't really know what they were talking about, so I ended up setting up an appointment with a gastrologist. I tried to find the very best one. I did a lot of research in my local area, and this guy that I went to, he was well known. He had lots of accolades. Who just looked on paper, he looked like he was amazing. I think he probably was amazing because he was hard to get an appointment with. It seems like he was a very popular gastrologist in the area. At my appointment with him, I ended up talking with him about all the symptoms I was having. And he gave me the same advice about not eating fatty foods, try not to drink too much or anything before you go to bed. I told him I tried that. It didn't really help. He told me he was going to want me to take some antacids, pepcid. I'm not sure about all the different medicines, but he wanted me to take something. He figured it didn't need to be all that strong, just something light. And I asked him if this would just be temporary, and he said, no, you probably need to take it all your life. I told him I want to do something with my diet that'll fix it. And he said, there's not really much that'll make it go away. I explained to him that up until this point, over the past month or so, I haven't really been feeling any of the symptoms of the acid reflux. It took a while to get an appointment. So I explained, over the past month or so, I haven't really been feeling any of the symptoms. And he explained that when you have acid reflux, this acid can damage the nerve endings in your esophagus. And it can get so bad to the point that when you have acid reflux that normally burns in your esophagus, that you could not feel the acid coming up if you got your nerves burnt or damaged to an extreme extent. It was at this moment that he was also telling me that he wanted to do an endoscopy and take a camera in and see what was going on. He believed that my esophagus had built up scar tissue and was closing up, and that was what was preventing food from being able to get into my stomach. I agreed to the procedure, but was really adamant about not wanting to do medication, especially since I wasn't feeling the symptoms of acid reflux. My doctor agreed to that, but also said that when they get in for doing the endoscopy, they'll be able to see everything. And if I still had inflammation or whatever, there would be signs that I still had acid reflux, even though I wasn't feeling it. And then he would recommend that I would go on to some antacids. I told him, we'll see what happens when we get there. So it took a couple months before I could finally get in for the procedure. They did the procedure, and then I had to wait for a follow-up for like another 30 days after the follow-up. By the way, if this is something that you're experiencing, not a big deal. The procedure is easy, no biggie. I thought I was going to have pain, or maybe I'd wake up and be choking or something, but it was easy. I went to sleep, woke up, done. Anyways, next up, I get to the follow-up. I meet with the physician assistant. They kind of run me through all the different stuff. They did some biopsies and just different parts. They kind of explained the whole way through. He looked at the notes, and the notes specifically specified that I was not having any more inflammation, and it must be that the acid reflux had gone away. I told him that I had started this new diet, and I think that that was the cause because I wasn't taking any medication. And he said, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And this is the moment that I want to share with you what the diet was that I started doing. It's what's called the carnivore diet. Opposite of what the conventional direction has given us of staying away from fatty food is all that I eat. I eat meat, eggs, dairy, not a lot of dairy, just a little bit. I don't restrict how much water I drink, and I really don't restrict what time of day I drink water. I eat whenever I want, and I'm eating the fattiest meats that you can find. Ribeyes, bacon, pork belly, just whatever. At the point of my endoscopy, I was overweight. My peak was 272 pounds, and now I'm just a little under 197 pounds, putting it pretty close to 75 pounds of weight loss. And this diet was a big factor in that. I'm finally down to a healthy weight, and my acid reflux has been pretty much cured. I don't have any symptoms ever. I don't wake up in the middle of the night, and the doctor said I don't have any inflammation in my esophagus anymore. And I actually did a video talking about my very first 30 days on the carnivore diet. And if that's something that you're interested in doing because maybe you're experiencing acid reflux, it might be worth you watching. So I'm going to put that video right over here for you to go check out. And hopefully you can start seeing some relief for your acid reflux. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Talk to you later.